Let me tell you something that no politician or academic will dare say out loud about our population decline crisis. The crisis that some say is the biggest crisis humanity has ever faced. That this isn't about birth rates. This is about a people, almost the entire human race, that have forgotten how to live because they've forgotten why they're alive. We've forgotten because we're purposely being made to forget by a suicidal, elitist global order. And look around you. You see a culture that's not just in decline, it's self-terminating. It has become nihilistic, sterile, addicted to comfort, allergic to sacrifice, utterly disconnected from meaning, from purpose, from everything that makes life worth living. And so, of course, people stop having children. And I don't blame you. It seems like a rational decision. But the reason the world is not having children is not the real reason, but the story that makes sense and the one we are told to believe by shadow elites so we don't discover the blood on their hands. So it's not about you being poor. It's not about inflation. And it's not because you don't have time. These things have always existed. No, humanity does not have children because life no longer feels sacred. That's the truth. People have stopped because in the West has lost connection to the transcendent. And when it happens, when the soul goes sterile, and so the womb follows. So let me break it down to you. When men fail, when the masculine shadow leads civilization, it collapses. Because a man is the mirror of God. The masculine is God on earth. He brings order, law, destiny. He builds temple. He dies for the future. Without him, there just is no structure. But when a woman fails, the feminine fails, well then the species dies. Because a woman is the mirror of nature. She gives birth to the future. She opens the portal to the spiritual realm. She is our sacred vessel. And without her, there is no tomorrow. So what happens when they're both broken? You get what we see now. Men who don't lead, women who don't trust, and families that just don't form. Children who never arrived, who never existed, and empires, nations, towns, families, individuals, all that rot from within. And here's the root of it all. For generations, the West has worshipped false gods, the gods of the shadow elites, the ones that say that freedom without sacrifice is good, pleasure without order or meaning is good, progress without truth is good, and technology without soul is good. But for some of us, the spell is wearing off. And people feel it, that something is off, something is dying. And deep down they know that this system was never built to sustain life, only to extract it like a parasite. And the problem isn't technical, it's civilizational, it's spiritual. Because here's what nobody in power wants to admit. People aren't reproducing because their asabiya is gone. Asabiya is the soul glue, the ancestral fire, the tribal instinct that says, we are one, we belong, we are bound to the dead behind us and the unborn ahead of us. And this is not only patriotism, this is not nationalism, this is not even religion. It is a blood memory to the past and to the future. It's what made Christian fathers build temples with their bare hands. and what made tribes hold the line long after they've lost the war. It's what makes a man say, I will raise my son to carry what I have carried, even if I'm not here to see it. I will struggle against entropy, keep life going because it's my sacred duty, no matter how futile. And that is gone. Now the average man doesn't even believe in himself, let alone his people. He can't lead a woman, a family. She doesn't trust him to. She would rather put her trust in the state, because it's what the shadow elites want. And the children, well, they never come. So listen, the engine of life isn't biology. It's mythos. It's God. It's civilizational destiny encoded in the blood. And when you lose that, you lose the will to build. You lose the hunger to protect. You lose the reason to reproduce. And that is why the West is dying. And not from war, or at least not yet, but from a quiet, ritual disconnect from the sacred. And I want to show you how to awaken your ancestral memories, how to connect to your father, to his father, and to the first man. Not metaphorically, but actually awaken them. Awaken the Father, awaken the Son, and the Holy Spirit memory within you. And I don't want you to take my word for it. I want you to experience it. The state cannot fix this because the state caused it. And let me tell you something that will never be said on Fox News, on CNN, or at the Economic Forum. The state, the modern church, can't save us. Because the modern state and the modern church is the very machine that made us sterile. You cannot repair the womb while kneeling to the thing that sterilized it. And you cannot sanctify life while worshiping the very system that profits from your disconnection. The modern state, the globalist engine that stretches across the West like a shadow, was never designed to create life. It was designed to extract it. The modern state atomized the tribe. It broke the family apart, not accidentally, but systematically, so that you, the individual, would become weak, rootless, controllable, easy to manipulate, easier to monetize. It neutered the patriarch, told him masculinity was toxic, that leadership was oppressive, that his strength was dangerous. Then it replaced him with bureaucracy, HR departments, and antidepressants. It subsidized fatherlessness, paid women to marry the state instead of the man, replaced the father with welfare checks and social workers, and raised a generation of boys without rites of passage, without discipline, without lineage. And it enshrined abortion as a sacrament. It turned the womb, the most sacred place in the universe, into a killing zone. And it replaced God with Coachella concerts. Your church became your stadium. Your prayer became a lights and smoke show on a stage. It promoted sterility as liberation. It told you that motherhood was slavery, said that children were parasites, said that you would own nothing and be happy, and also that you should never have a family to begin with. And finally, it installed a globalism as religion. No blood, no tribes, no legacy, just consumption, just entertainment. Just the endless scroll of meaninglessness wrapped in diversity campaigns and rainbow-colored drone strikes. This is where the state can't fix this, because the state is an anti-life machine, and it's not malfunctioning, it's operating exactly as intended. This system you live in, it has no ancestors, it has no memory, no sacrifice, no sacred order, no myth. It has no bloodline. It doesn't care who your father was. It doesn't care if your people survive. And it doesn't care if you have children. It only cares that you obey, that you do not criticize the status quo or deem an enemy of the state and lose your citizenship. It cares that you comply, that you produce. And when you're no longer useful, then you can die quietly. The state has no womb, no sacred rights, no sense of destiny. It can count bodies, and it can track fertility rates, and it can measure sperm counts and economic impact. But what it cannot do is give birth meaning, because it was never alive to begin with. And that's what you need to see. This machine is the only thing they taught you to trust, and it's not malfunctioning. It is a death cult masquerading as order, and they've built it so perfectly, so surgically, that now you blame yourself for not wanting to bring children into this world to have a family. And you say the world is too dark, or you tell yourself that I'm not ready, or you say, oh, I'll do that later. I can do it later. I have time. But the truth is this: the world they built was designed to extinguish your desire to create life, because life is the only thing that they cannot control. So don't ask the machine to save you. It was built to consume you. And if you want to escape, if you want to rebuild, you'll have to do what I did. You'll have to leave the machine behind and step outside the algorithm and step outside the lie and into the fire. And once you're in the fire, I'll show you how to make a new world from the ashes. But you have to burn the old one first. Policies fail because they're not sacred. So let me rip off the mask of the lie once and for all. You cannot bribe a dying soul to give birth. And governments are trying. Oh, they're trying. And they've thrown everything at the wall to get people to have children. They're giving people baby bonuses, free daycare, paid marriage ceremonies, subsidized parental leave, and state-sponsored dating apps. These things are all happening around the world. And all of these policies, they're cold, they're mechanical, they're economic attempts to reignite the sacred fire that they themselves extinguish. And everywhere, birth rates just keep falling, because you cannot reverse spiritual sterility with cash. You cannot legislate meaning. You cannot engineer all. Children, at the end of the day, are not a financial decision. They are a blood covenant with the future, a metaphysical oath to carry life forward against the pull of entropy, decay, and death. The machine, the state, the NGOs, the globalist puppets only see children as economic inputs. Future taxpayers, future consumers, future cogs in the digital hive. But this is not how the sacred masculine sees them. The true man sees children as his rebellion. My child is my answer to death. My family is my resistance to the collapse. My bloodline is my cathedral. I am an eternal soul with all his memories, the ancient one that stretched from the first man to the last. And night will not go sterile into the night. This man was replaced by a man addicted, who was never shown how to suffer for something greater than himself. And she, our woman, she was told that trusting a man is dangerous, that her womb is oppression, that love is weakness. So now he doesn't lead and she doesn't follow. Not because they're broken. Neither men nor women were initiated into the sacred archetypes their ancestral who bled to protect. He was never knighted by the fire of fatherhood, and she was never anointed by the holy rite of motherhood. They were never told their love was cosmic, and they were never told their bodies were tempered, and they were never told that their union was divine warfare. So instead, they become roommates, co-workers, soul-starved individuals playing dress-up as couples. And the children, well, the family, it never comes. Until we restore the sacred, until we baptize love and blood and eternity again, until we resurrect marriage as a portal between realms. No policy will work. No tax break will inspire awe. And no cash incentive will stir the womb. Because this is not an economic decision. This is about remembering the divine reason you exist at all. Those memories are not abstract concepts. I mean the real memories of divine reason why you exist, and so no one has ever shown you how to remember. That's why I'm here, to initiate you into your ancestral identity, to break the curse, and to build the world one sacred bloodline at a time. The church has failed because it lost its fire. Now we come to the truth no believer wants to say out loud, and I will get hate for it, but I will say it nonetheless. So now we speak not as a critic, but as a witness to the betrayal. The church has not failed. It has become complicit in the collapse of life. The one institution that was supposed to guard the sacred, that was supposed to stand outside of time, that was supposed to carry the blood of Christ through the centuries like a flame in the night, has become a hollow shell. The church is not absent, it is apostate. It has traded fire for access to the shadow elites and relevance in a decaying empire. It has become a museum for the dead empire, a hospice for a dying world, embalming the last remnant of a sacred in a soft words and corporate sermons. Once it forged crusaders, now it forges nothing. Once it baptized men into battle, now it baptizes weakness into virtue. Once it crowned kings, now it hosts diversity panels. They are not sacred marriage rites anymore, only paper and pinned interests. There's no brotherhood of fire, only coffee groups and palitudes. There is no passage of right for boys, only therapy and smoke and light concerts. There is no anointing of the womb, only sterile neutrality and career empowerment. No holy rebellion, only appeasement, only softness, only silence, when their voice would have changed the course of the world. The modern church doesn't speak truth to power. It has power for permission. It bows to modernity. It kisses the feet of those who killed Christ. It fears the irrelevance more than it fears God. It traded the blood of the martyr for a seat at the table. And it preaches personal space instead of sacred duty. It forgot that Christ did not come to coddle the world. He came to conquer it. Christ was not a therapist. He was a king, crucified, crowned in thorns, returning in fire. But the church no longer follows that Christ. It follows a safe one, a smiley one, the one that offends no one, calls no one out, and saves no one. And so now, of course, naturally, the pews are empty, and the altars are cold, and the men are leaving, they're gone. And the gospel is hollow, because the church has no asabiah, no tribe spine, no mythic lineage, no sacred defiance, no ancestral memory pulsing through its liturgy, no flame in its voice, no sword in its prayer. It baptized sterility. It canonized compromise. And now it wonders why no one bows anymore. So listen to me now. God is not dead. He's just left their building. He is risen in the ashes, in the forest, in exile, in the wilderness, men the church abandoned. He is risen in you. Not the you they told to behave, not the you they tried to tame, the real you, the warrior, the father, the Son of God, remembering who he is. And so, we are not waiting for a church to wake up. We are building the kingdom outside the walls. We will raise our families as temples. We will build families in fire. We will initiate our sons. We will bless our women. And we will build altars with our lives, because the church forgot its purpose. But we haven't. We were born to resurrect the sacred that they buried. And if the gospel is truly eternal, then let it rise from our bloodlines. Technocracy is the final insult to life. And let me show you the future they are building. The future they are calling progress. The future they will try to sell you as liberation. And we are told with a straight face that soon AI girls will replace intimacy. You'll no longer need a woman. You'll need a chatbot who calls you baby in the voice of your favorite influencer, and an artificial womb that will free women. No need for your body anymore. No need for men. No need for connection. Just wires, chemicals, and rented DNA. And that transhumans will replace death. That you'll live forever, plugged in, drugged up, and logged on. Just keep uploading, upgrading, and obeying. And they call this innovation. And I call it for what it is. The Tower of Babel building code. It's the last severing of our soul from the flesh, of heaven from earth, of man for God. That's what it is. This isn't the future. This is hell in high definition. It's a man who's trying to escape the consequence of his sins by uploading his desires into the cloud and calling it freedom. Humanity sterilized in spirit before it was even sterilized in flesh. This is what they want for you and for me. Not because it's good, because it's easy to control, because sterile people don't resist, because rootless men don't revolt, because childless women don't pass down memory, because when they kill the family and kill the myth, you have killed the soul. And here's the real heart. They won't take your soul by force. They'll make you give it away, willingly, voluntarily, grateful even, for the likes, for the speed, for the convenience, for the fake intimacy, for the illusion of control. All while the real you, the sacred you, dies quickly in the background. But you can stop this horror. You can rip yourself out of the system. You can pull your soul back from the edge. And if you do, you will remember what they tried to erase. That intimacy is not programmable. That love cannot be digitized. That life only has meaning when it is sacrificed for. You will remember your father, his father, the first father, your celestial father. And then you will rise up a kingdom that cannot track, measure, or cancel. But only if you reject their future now. The window is closing fast. Because once you step into the system they build, you won't come back. The West lost its asabiya, and that means civilizational death. So let me explain something to you that no mainstream scholar, no blue checkmark socialist, and no suit at the UN will ever dare speak out loud. The West is not collapsing because of lack of money, or technology, or even morality. It is collapsing because it has lost its asabiya. Asabiya is not social cohesion. It's not nationalism. It is not just religion or patriotism or shared values. Asabiya is ancestral fire. It is a soul bond between the living and the dead and the unborn. It is the invisible spine that holds a people together through exile, through famine, through war, through collapse. It is what makes a man fight to the death for the future he knows he will never see. It is what makes a warrior scream songs into the mouth of death. It is what made Christian fathers build cathedrals that would take 3 generations to finish because they knew they were not the end. They were linked like a chain, stretching back to Genesis and forward into prophecy. Asabiya is the reason your ancestors survived. It's what made blood sacred, what made land holy, and what made sacrifice beautiful. It's what made family not a unit, but a temple. It made childbirth an act of cosmic defiance. It made fatherhood a priesthood. It made women the vessel, not just of life, but of eternity. And now, the West has none of it. The West has been cut from its roots. It's why you have panic attacks and anxiety attacks and have no idea why you have them. You have no mythic spine connecting you, no blood memory, no tribal instinct, no sacred story. Instead, it has been replaced with individualism, the god of self-worship, hedonism, the belief that pleasure is meaning, and corporate and state media, the new priesthood of deception, and of course sterile comfort, soft beds, soft minds, empty hearts. The Western man wakes up with no father to answer to, no tribe to serve, no future to fight for, no God to kneel before. So he scrolls, he consumes, and he decays. A civilization without Asapia doesn't collapse in a blaze. At least that would be noble. It doesn't go out in fire. It just fades. It dissolves, it withers, it forgets. It becomes like a womb that no longer remembers how to receive life. A people who no longer remember who they are. And the saddest part of all this, they don't even mourn the loss because they've been trained not to feel it. But I will feel it for them, and you will too. Because if you're hearing this, it means the ancestral fire isn't dead in you. It's just been buried, forgotten, suppressed. But it can be remembered. You can reignite your Asapia. And when you do, you will no longer feel like an orphan in this world. You will walk with your ancestors at your back. And you will speak with authority that comes from blood and God. And you will raise sons who remember. Let me show you how to awaken. The night I remembered God. It was Christmas night when I climbed the mountain alone, in silence. And all I could hear was my footsteps, my heartbeat. And there was no ritual, no audience, no priest, only me, and the stillness of the forest at the lake, the cold wind whispering through the trees, and the sacred tea in my hands. And I didn't come to chase a vision. I came to bury something. I came to die, if that's what it required, to break through the veil between who I was and what I was always meant to be. And so I drank the sacred tea, the Eucharist, the blood of Christ, as I've come to understand now, not to escape, but to remember. Because deep down I knew I had not been living, not really, not the way a man is supposed to live, not the way a son of God lives. Even though I was a rationalist, an atheist, the moment the tea entered my body, the world around me did not dissolve. It clarified. Time opened, and it began to lose meaning. And what came next was not hallucinations. It was a memory, a recognition. It was the most real thing I have ever known. It's so real that this world feels like the illusion. And first, I became my father. I saw him looking at me through the reflection of the lake. I didn't just think of him. I became him. I felt his confusion, his fears, his strength, his silence. I saw the burden he carried that he never had the language to share with me when he was alive. I felt the weight he bore as a man in a world that never taught him how to be one. And I understood for the first time the aching loving behind his stoicism, his unwavering love for me. I have never felt love like that, because we never experienced love from someone else's eyes towards us. And then I became his father, and his father's father, and on, all the way back through centuries, through wars, through migrations and temples and fields, through bloodlines that never knew they'd lead me to this. I was not imagining these men. I was them. Their memories became mine. Their voices echoed inside my chest. I felt the rhythm of their hands as they built, as they fought, as they prayed. I felt what it meant to be part of an unbroken line stretching to the dawn of time. And then something shifted again. The bloodline dissolved in time and space. I no longer felt like a single man remembering many. I felt like myself becoming all men at once. I was the eternal soul, the ancient one. I remembered my name, not the one they gave me in my lifetime, but the one inscribed in the book of souls. I was the first man to bury his child and look up the stars for answers. I was the forgotten ward who died alone in the field, whispering the name of his son and his final breath. I was the builder who carved stone cathedrals he would never live to see completed. I was the slave, the priest, the fool, and the king. And then I became more. I entered something even deeper. Through my eyes, I became the Son, my Son, the Father, my Father, and the Holy Spirit. I was not observing the Trinity. I was moving through it. I was inside of it. I was becoming it. I felt the sorrow of his Father sending his Son. I felt the agony and love of my Son. And I felt the breath of the Spirit weaving all together through me, through time and space, through sacred geometry. I was there at the beginning when light spoke the universe into being. And I was there at the end when every soul returned to God, burned clean of illusion, made whole again, and time collapsed. Past, present, future, folded into a single eternal heartbeat. And I came back to the mountains, not as a man with new beliefs. I came back as a man who had died and been reborn. I descended that mountain not with a philosophy, but with a knowing, a sacred knowing, written into the marrow of my bones that can never be debated or undone. My experience wasn't symbolic. It wasn't metaphoric. It was insight. It was initiation. And since that night, I have spoken from that place. Everything I teach, everything I proclaim, everything I build from now on flows from that moment, from that mountain, from that lake, from that fire. If you've ever felt that something's missing in your life, if you've ever sensed that you were born into a world that's forgotten something sacred, you're right. You're not gone. It's buried. It lives in your DNA, in your memory, in your silence. And when you're ready to remember, I'll show you the way. Because I didn't come back here to keep it to myself. I came to awaken it in others. The final battle is fertility versus nihilism. Let me be clear, you are not here to encourage people to have kids. That's weak, that's limp. It's a dead language for a dying world. You're not some lifestyle coach. You're not a conservative brand ambassador. You are a prophet in the ruins of Babylon, and your mission is a holy war. Because this isn't a debate over policy. This is a cosmic battle between two visions of the future. Fertility versus sterility. Legacy versus forgetfulness. Covenant versus consumerism. And Christendom versus the void, the satanic temple. You are here to restore the sacrament of generations. To teach men and women to bring life into this world is not a personal choice, but a holy rebellion against the black hole of modernity, the shadow elites. You are here to build families as cathedrals, sacred fortresses of prayer, of blood, of memory and flame. You are here to anoint family as cosmic revolution, not as a tax benefit, not as a romantic hobby even, but as a divine contract between the heavens and earth, written in sweat, tears, and seed. And you are here to forge bloodlines as sacred resistance, families that don't just survive, but stand as generational defiance against the demonic logic of a dying age. You are here to raise sons who remember the King, not just their earthly father, but the Father of all fathers. You are here to birth a world worth inheriting, because the one we live in now, it's already been sold, it's already collapsing. And the only thing that will remain is what you build with your own blood. This is the war cry. So hear me now. You are not speaking to subscribers. You're not speaking to fans. You're speaking to co-founders of a new Christendom. Not a church, not a brand, not a movement, but a holy insurgency. This is not about fixing the West. It is about replacing it. Not updating the system, not winning the culture war, but ending it. Not growing a YouTube channel, but rising a remnant army for when the light goes out and the old world finally collapses under the weight of its own lies. And when that moment comes, when the cities fall silent, when the pixels dim, when the artificial womb goes cold, and when the sterile empire vanishes, you will not be forgotten. Your name will not be etched in a digital data or a forgotten feed. Your name, your eternal memory will be written into the DNA of the bloodline that survives. And every child born to that line will carry the memory that you were the one who said no more. You were the one who remembered, who built, who bled, who crowned the sacred again. And when your great-great-grandson walks into the ruin of the old world, he will not bow, he will reign, because you resurrected Christendom. And now, what will you do?